people, and welcome to Autocrat.
Hello, people? That caught me off guard.
This is episode 66, Iliad part. Why can't it be 66?
Iliad part 66? How slowly are we getting through this book?
This is episode 66, Iliad part 8, Achilles loses it.
So,
didn't we already title an episode Achilles?
We called Hector loses
it.
This is Achilles losing it. See, I have structure when I plan these titles.
Now, as we saw last time, Patroclus is dead, having been bumped off by Hector with a well-aimed spear thrust.
Yeah, right through the stomach.
How do we think Achilles is going to take it?
Well,
we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Book 7.
17.
17.
Yes.
Me and Roman numeral again.
Yeah.
Opens with Menelaus protecting Patroclus' body. He faces off against a Trojan called Hephaestus who wants him to get away from the body.
Presumably so he can loot it.
This is the guy who hit him before Hector did. He wants full credit for his death, which, given that Patroclus was still alive when he hit him, seems a bit much.
Yeah, one of the spear thrusts killed him, the other didn't. That's just how it works.
Menelaus impales him with a spear and loots his body because, just get away from here.
Mid-complaint.
No other Trojan dares approach after that. However, Menelaus doesn't get to loot in peace, as Apollo made Hector rush at him. He describes Hephaestus as the best fighter Troy had, which seems a little bit much.
Yeah, he died mid-complaint.
Also, it's the first we heard of him.
Yeah, I mean, we might have heard of him before, but given how much editing, let's say, I do of all the names in this, I wouldn't remember.
Regardless, Hector rushes at Menelaus and Menelaus briefly panics about what to do. He can't retreat if he wants to keep his honor, but if he fights Hector, he will probably become isolated and surrounded by Trojans. Makes sense, there's a finite escape window after all.
Yeah.
He's still thinking when the Trojans reach him.
Now, that sounds logical, but bear in mind, I'm going to say that it took like 2 hours for them to approach him, and he was just stood there going, on the one hand, now on the other hand, in the battlefield, everyone's just looking at Hector, they've all stopped fighting, they're all really bored, and Menelaus is still counting on his hands.
Menelaus dashes away from the body of Patroclus and runs.
Yeah, he thought of something to do, finally.
The Trojans loot the corpse. When he reaches the other Greeks, he asks Ajas to come with him and rescue at least the body.
Yeah.
He agrees and they rush up to find Hector trying to behead Patroclus.
It seems a bit much, he's already dead.
They see him off, which Glaucus the Trojan is unhappy with Hector for. He essentially calls Hector a coward for not standing up to Ajax.
Yeah.
Well, Hector doesn't like that.
I bet he doesn't.
He changes armour into the armour of Achilles that they got from Patroclus' body.
Yeah. What I'm hearing here is that Achilles and Hector are the same t-shirt size. Best friends forever, am I right? I killed your best friend. Can we be buds now?
Zeus sees this and essentially chuckles and says, "Oh, you're in trouble now, boy."
Oh, I wouldn't have done that.
Hector's give out a battle cry.
Yeah. He got higher pitched over the last 3 books, by the way.
And runs back into the fray. The sight of him in his armour does some obvious good to the Trojan, and he makes a speech.
Yeah.
Menelaus does a rallying call, and the two sides smash into each other again.
But that's so different from the last 16 books.
The Trojans are winning at first and start tugging Patroclus' body along with them. However, the Greeks then push them back, one of the Ajaxes rushing into the middle and scattering the Trojans around the corpse. One man had looped something through the heel of Patroclus and started pulling him toward the city. Well, he gets his brains dashed out for his trouble.
Ow.
Hector tries throwing a spear at him, but it hits another man in the gut and spills them onto the floor.
Yeah. He's dead. He's dead.
Seeing that the Trojans are about to be routed and chased back into the city, Apollo finds Aeneas. He tells him heaven is on his side and gets him into fight. Aeneas recognizes Apollo and hurries the Trojans on.
The Greeks have meanwhile formed a shield wall around Patroclus. A thick fog sets in over the battlefield, so you can't actually tell if it's day or night. All throughout the day, the tug of war over the body continues. Achilles' horses, meanwhile, by the way, have been crying ever since they found out Patroclus was dead.
Oh.
Who took the time to tell the horses?
They just can't feel those things.
Now, there's one guy going, "I'm so sorry, Xanthus." Zeus feels sorry for these horses.
Zeus can feel sorry for people.
No, for horses.
Oh, yeah, fair.
Not for people.
Fair.
But horses, you don't cross that line. And he gives them new energy to save a Greek warrior called Automedon. The Trojans try to capture the horses, because of course they do, but it fails. Athena herself whips on the fight for Patroclus' body, so it's a violent struggle. Apollo also needles Hector some more, presumably by poking him over and over in the side, and Zeus throws a lightning bolt to unnerve the Greeks. That's really his signature move right now. Ajax recognises that Zeus is still on the Trojan side and begs Zeus with tears in his eyes to get rid of the fog, which he surprisingly obliges. Ajax finally asks Menelaus to get Nestor's son to tell Achilles that his friend has died. They want to get Achilles to come and rescue the body, since Hector has already stolen the armour. That more or less ends book 17.
So now we come to book 18. Not 8, 18.
Not 8.
Achilles is by his boat fretting over when Patroclus is going to come back and that he told him not to go too far. Oh, Achilles.
Oh, Achilles.
Precious.
Yeah.
Now, who should show up at this point but Nestor's son, tears streaming down his face? He tells him the news.
Oh boy.
Achilles, Patroclus.
What about Patroclus, my good friend?
He's dead. Achilles threw ground on his face and head in grief, which might be some sort of ritual thing or sign of his mood.
Yeah.
And throws himself to the ground. The woman he and Patroclus took prisoner also wail in despair. Okay.
Yeah, they really make a thing of these women being loyal to Achilles, despite the fact he literally stole them from their homeland.
Nestor's sons hold Achilles' hand and he sobs uncontrollably. The man was even worried Achilles might try to off himself.
Yeah, do something drastic in his grief.
Achilles raises his head and lets out a yell so loud that his mother and the other Nereids hear it and join in the cry. Can you imagine something very, very, very loud?
Yeah.
Add loud scream.
Add loud scream? Loud scream.
Thetis goes to find her son to find out what's wrong, and seeing him in this state, cradles his head to comfort him. He tells her Patroclus is dead and that he doesn't want to live anymore. I mean, that's a bit much. Were they a couple?
There's often an implication that they were. I didn't find anything explicit so far to say that they were, but it sometimes is, and in some adaptations they aren't.
However, he will stay around long enough to see Hector killed for what he did.
Now, remember that prophecy that if he fights, he will die.
I do remember, but Achilles doesn't care, despite his mother reminding him. He regrets all the anger that led to this point, but it's done now.
Yeah, the past is the past.
He tells his mom to not stop him, and she says he at least needs new armour.
Well, yeah, Hector stole his because of how they have the same t-shirt size.
Now, she tells him to not go anywhere until she's back. She's going to see Hephaestus.
Now, by the way, an epithet tells us at this point that Thetis has silver feet.
Fair enough.
All right then. So, as the fight for Patroclus' body continues, Thetis leaves to go and see Hephaestus. The goddess Iris stops Hector from successfully taking Patroclus' body to Troy. She'd been sent by Hera to get Achilles ready to fight. Incidentally, Zeus doesn't know about any of this, which really feels like it goes against the whole Hera saying they were stupid for trying to challenge Zeus thing. Anyway, Achilles retorts to Iris that he has no armour, and Iris says, well, that doesn't matter. Just show yourself to the Trojans for a bit. The sight of you might scare them off. So, although he doesn't join the fight, just like his mom told him to, he stands just in front of the wall. Presumably, he's glowering angrily. He yells a war cry, and the Trojans are speechless. 3 times he screams, and each time anarchy descends upon the Trojans. The Greeks are grateful for this, and manage to get Patroclus' body away. Achilles sees the damaged body of his friend, and joins in the mourning around it. Now at this point, the sun sets. Apparently, Helios had wanted to stay and see what happened next, but Hera told him, set, you're the sun, go down. Who knows, maybe that was after a 60-hour day or something like that. Everyone settles in for the night.
At the Trojan camp, the mood is bleak. Polydamas doesn't like that Achilles is now firmly on the Greek side again. It was easier to fight the Greek when there was a rift between him and Agamemnon. He won't be happy to just fight on the plains. No, he's coming for Troy and its women now as well.
I bet we've angered him now.
Polydamas suggests everyone retreat inside the city. Hector doesn't like that.
Shock, horror.
Troy isn't the splendidly rich settlement it once was either. They sold everything to Phrygia and Maeonia, given that Zeus was unhappy with them. No, he suggests a dawn attack on the ships. They agree, overruling Polydamas.
That's his only role at this point, is just to be told no.
Cut to the group camp where the mourning is intense. Achilles hugs the body and moans, thinking back to when he told Patroclus' father not to worry, that he would be back safe and sound and glorious.
Oh, don't make a promise you can't keep.
He knows that he will die too, and that he will not hold Patroclus' hand again until he does. He vows to kill 12 young noblemen of Troy at his funeral pyre. The Myrmidons clean the body in hot water and olive oil. Up on Olympus, Zeus is unhappy with Hera for getting Achilles into the fight, and she's acting all innocent.
Me? I would never.
Thetis, meanwhile, heads to Hephaestus with mid-task at his fort.
At this point, Hephaestus exposits for a bit about how Thetis looked after him when Hera threw him from Olympus as a baby, and then gets to the point of the story and asks what he can do for her.
He agrees to make an armour for Achilles and sets to work. Gold, silver, bronze and tin are all mixed into it. He makes a shield 5 layers thick, filled with symbols representing the elements and the constellation and other decorations. We get like 3 pages about the decoration. It's a nice shield.
Yeah, it's nice.
He then makes the rest of the armour and gives them to Thetis, who disappears seemingly without a word.
By the way, we also get how fast she is, because she's described as falcon-like in flight, so I can only guess she's like a peregrine falcon. Hey, I mean, a mother on her way to protect her son would find out how to fly that fast. I mean, she leaves Apollo and Hera in the dust. But that ends Book 18 of the Iliad. So what do you think is going to happen next time?
More fighting.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah,
Achilles is going to fight, I guess.
You'll find out.
Have a great week, everyone.
Have a great week.